How are we doing today, guys? We're going to be making a video on 3 different tickers very quickly, so pay attention and watch until the end. It's going to be AMC, GameStop, and Nio. We're going to waste no time because we're here every single day grinding these videos out for y'all. So if you find value, slap the subscribe button and let's get into the video. GameStop with a very, very unique opportunity here. Seeing a breakout of this wedge or pennant, mind you, and then seeing a throwback test of the weekly 200-day EMA and potentially our uptrend that had led us out of this bull pennant, right? So what's good here? What's good here is you have yet to touch the 200-day EMA. And why is that good, right? I'd like to see a pretty nasty tap and a strong bounce above the 200-day EMA, because as you see here, GME has respected this thing immensely. So the fact that you are coming to this technical indicator is a very, very good thing. It's a buying opportunity, not financial advice, right? It's where I may look to pick up more shares. And you can see just how, although it's consolidated on top of it and had its wicks underneath, every single time breaking above it has led to a nasty move. Nasty move, nasty move, nasty move, and potentially nasty move. So what we're looking for is we're looking to break once you get that nasty confirmation off the 200-day weekly EMA and then a break above this downsloping resistance, because this is new resistance that you created from the touch in May and then the touch in September, right? So that is the micro on GameStop. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. We could talk about the 4-hour chart and how you are starting to curl and test this downsloping resistance that's pinned you from 25 all the way down to 22. Don't mind the work cooked. We're going to get into that later, a little bit later. But you see on the 4-hour chart a death cross here. So once you get above this resistance, it'll be about testing this 50-day EMA on the 4-hour. Besides for that, the daily chart, you closed with a bullish hammer candle, a inverse hammer candle at that. Closed green on the day, up 0.52%, and you're slowly but surely starting to see the bearish pressure ease here as this thing looks to potentially curl up. That would be an absolutely beautiful thing. I'd love to see this happen for GameStop, because once you see these daily crosses, guys, GameStop loves to stay green here. I mean, you can see the period, almost a full month of just green price action. Green. The green waves, right? This was technically a green wave here. And it really stayed green throughout this entire consolidation period, which I know was agonizing until you broke it, and then now you've crossed red. So this has been a very, very good opportunity for the bulls to step back in here. And we're going to get into it in just a second of what happens if it doesn't, if the bulls don't step in here. But this is a great opportunity, in my opinion. A tap off of this 22, like high 22s, is going to be a beautiful opportunity to add shares, even if, right, you come back up and you reject. And you trade alongside this until you get to the pinnacle of your new kind of wedge formation here. And if you get to the pinnacle of this, guys, I mean, game on. Like, it is on. Because I don't think you guys really realize where we're at. If you realize, and I've covered it, right? This is the golden uptrend on GameStop. Let's go to the weekly because it's easier to see. And I have, as you can see, 3 different points of time in which the retail sentiment was that we were cooked, that we were going to permanently go down. That is how this state of capitulation can feel at times. But you can see here, we were not cooked. We saw a bounce, an uptrend established, and then absolutely mooned out of the stratosphere. You saw the test and the confirmation of this uptrend, saw a 500% run to the upside on GameStop. And if you count after hours, that was like 80 flat, 684%. And you're telling me that we're cooked again because the sentiment is so bearish. It's so low. It is fearful on the Fear and Greed Index when you are only 5% away from all-time highs on major indices like SPY, IWM. Like, what are we doing here, guys? And so this is my message, is that oftentimes buying the fear within a bull market is the best thing you can do. And if you were to come down here, right, if you reject or if you fail to find support at the 200-day EMA and the weekly time frame, ladies and gentlemen, and you reject, I don't think you realize how big of a deal that is going to be. Because if you find and you bounce off of this uptrend that is only led to insane moves, even this move itself is upwards of 200%. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I think the closer you get to low 20s to the teens, the more likely it is that you see a certain tweet from a certain somebody, from DFV. Because once you get down here, the stock trend has been that you are in deep, you-know-what value. The stock is primed. It is ready to run. The fundamentals are there. Right? So even if you get down here, you have significant opportunity for a nice size launch off of this trend line. But we're not planning on it, right? I'm not planning on the fact that you're going to come down here right now, because in my opinion, it's highly unlikely, unless it's a wick, like a scare, a shakeout kind of wick. I think it's more likely you rebound up here to this $25 level, potentially 26, and then find a new higher low, and continue to establish these higher lows until you hit this trend line. And when you do hit this trend line, I believe it's going to happen sometime January. Look at that. That kind of aligns, right? We know how much GameStop likes to trade sideways into the pinnacles, right? Trade sideways into the pinnacle, and then bam, right? You see a thump, an absolute thumper of price action. What is it going to be? I have no clue, right? You could ask me all day. I have no idea what it's going to be. But I do believe that at some point in the recent or near future, GameStop is going to see a nice size launch to these upside targets of $40 to $50 to $73, because there are technical landmarks left to fill on this chart. And GameStop has filled every single one of them. Right? You go to the daily chart. You still have a $28 gap fill and a $30 gap fill. And when you look at the gaps that GameStop fills, right, this was one of the weirdest daily candles I have ever seen. And you knifed from this down from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, make it drop. 30%, right? So you knifed 30% and then proceeded to rally exactly up to that gap. That's just one example. Happened here, knife, rally, fill the gap. Happened here, knife, rally, fill the gap. And then will I even bother you to mention that this whole price action, all these gaps, which is very weird price action. I remember watching this real time and thinking, how do you even chart this, right? You could see that this gap made, when was this? May 10th. Gapped up 74%, baby, and then came all the way back down. But you left the gap in the process. You had to fill that. Came all the way back up. Filled that gap, and then came all the way back down to fill this gap. So GameStop is a story of gaps and gap fills. And so why would I expect it to do anything else than to find historical resistance and support until it fills these gaps? And that is my trading thesis on GameStop. You can see on the monthly here, kind of bearish. Not great. You have to hold and you have to bounce as soon as next week because you do not want to see a monthly MACD flip. Historically on this thing, monthly MACD flips have been the absolute Picasso. They've been the beautiful painting. They've been the rocket fuel for the thrusters, right? You could see you crossed green on the MACD here on the monthly time frame, and then you saw I don't even know that percent. I'm not going to try to, right? You saw a cross down here. I can draw this percent, though. That's an 80% drop. Not great. That's Crayola DD right there. You saw a cross up here. And we know up to $80 in after hours, 731%. So absolutely crazy just how well that the monthly MACD has kind of led to price discovery in whatever direction it crosses on this chart. So I would highly advise, for your own sake, use the MACD, analyze the MACD, learn about it, because this thing on GME particularly has played out to a T, right? So a potential price target, if you do break out of this micro pennant and this kind of macro bull channel here, right? Even if you come back up here, you have a slightly significant resistance established from the all-time high and then the high off of this trend line, right? So if you expect GameStop to continue to trade within this kind of channel, you would find resistance somewhere between $48 to $50. That is significant, right? And so let's get rid of this horizontal trend line because the one that we're watching is this one right here. For that potential touch, which would be significant, right? Tap, 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 tap. You're making a larger scale, potentially wedge formation. So very fascinating here on GameStop. But one thing is for sure, if you are able to break 27 and hold, look at where that is in the macro chart. Get rid of all other lines horizontally. 27. Zoom out. You get this almost inverse head and shoulders feel. Are you guys getting that? Because I am getting that. You get this almost inverse head and shoulders feel, right? It's kind of weird. But if you break 27, you can see this sloping head, sloping breakout, right? And BB has the exact same setup. BlackBerry has the exact same setup. So does COS. A lot of small cap stocks do right now. So theoretically, if you saw this inverse head and shoulders break out above 27, so a monthly or weekly close above 27, and you're potentially talking confluence to our price target, baby. Potentially talking confluence to that $73 gap fill that was left on the daily chart. On the daily chart, this is your all-time gap fill from the first dilution that Ryan Cohen made in June, one of the two, back in June 6th. Right, you see the gap right there off of a doji. So that's our price target on GameStop. And I am inclined to take nothing less until this fills. And could it go higher? Absolutely. It could go to all-time highs. It could run. The fundamentals for this thing has never been better for it to run past 100, past 200, past 300, past 400, right? If you are a MOAS guy, and I am a conserved investor, right? I like to look for technical price setups. But theoretically, Why not? Theoretically, if this was a bull flag, right, that we said it was, because I did believe that. 151, right? So there's so many different bullish setups, and the bearish setups are just not there. It's just so hard to argue on this stock when every single thing you see is bullish, except for the daily death cross. Yeah, right. But even now, you're seeing the daily MACD begin to find some life. Just begin to slow down this harsh move down, this oversold move down, right? So as we see this curl up, I anticipate you'll make one lower candle, but then you'll see a dramatic curl up into a rally above $25, right? So that is my DD on GameStop. Nio stock opening the week bullish, baby. You can see a breakout of this kind of descending wedge or ascending triangle, and you're above the 9-day EMA on the 4-hour chart, and you're invalidating this death cross on the 4-hour chart. So that is a very beautiful thing going into Monday's open. And now you want to see this bullish momentum continue off of the profit target of this symmetrical triangle back up to 760. And I would anticipate that you're going to make this test up to 771. And what you do once you're there, guys, is going to be absolutely crucial, because you see, not only do you have resistance at 771, you have new resistance up here at 762. So what you do once you get there, right? Maybe you do some kind of polyline consolidation pattern, right? Flag it out. Maybe it's extended. And then finally, boom, right? That's what we're looking for. We are looking for that finale candle that is bigger than all the other, bigger than all the rest. And it is totally possible that you continue to trade within this either flag pattern or this megaphone pattern. But whatever it turns out to be, guys, one thing is remaining true on this stock, and that is the weekly looks disgusting. You have a decreasing consolidation in volume, a rounding top, the gap has filled, and your 50-day EMA is rocketing up to the north side. That's bullish, right? Look at the volume profile. That's bullish. I don't know how many times I have to scream. It's bullish. You go to the monthly. Must I say any more? Thump, thump, thump. 3 white soldiers, bam. Go to the quarterly. And you see that kind of, you see that curve in quarterly MACD. Gets me more excited every single time I see it as a former and new Nio shareholder as of today in the overnight trading session. I hope this thing goes to absolute Pluto and the technical setup is there. AMC, let's see. This is just a quick nightly update, but you saw how close Nio stock was to flipping its quarterly MACD. Now look at AMC, right? And not to be just an absolute all flying colors bull right now, but the fact that you are getting so close to seeing so many quarterly MACD flips, and we went over what happened from HYMC when this happened, but look at, oh, come on. Look at what happened to open. Look at that. Look at the stupidness. That is so freaking silly. I mean, insane, right? Just mind-numbing to not think that the quarterly MACD is insanely bullish during a bull market. And you can see the crazy pump in not just price, up 1,395%, but also volume. The volume has been the story. 21 billion shares traded, opposed to 4. I mean, almost a 7x in volume, 6x in volume. That is absurd. So when you see this on AMC, I really don't know what to think, because everyone and their mother and their sister and their brother are way more bearish right here than they were down here. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens once you get a green quarterly MACD flip on the freaking AMC chart for the first time since 2021. And things that I expect to go alongside that, the daily chart, you're fighting. You're fighting to hold this trend line. In fact, you closed literally right on top of it. I have not touched this thing. I have not adjusted this thing since we established it here. But you closed literally to the penny right on top of this thing. I expect a nice size launch if you're going to find one. Otherwise, you're coming further into this falling wedge here, right? So if you see this nice size launch, get above the 50. Hopefully that begins to curl up. That takes you out of your falling wedge, takes you above your 200. You see a daily golden cross for the first time on this thing's chart since 2021, when you had the first squeeze, retest, and then full send. We're looking for AMC to eventually, not today, not tomorrow, not next month, not next quarter, but eventually, in this longer S-scale recovery play, fill the gap at 13, fill the gap at 19, and fill the gap at 43. Everything else is just noise in the void. So, that has been my Sunday update. I hope you guys are having an absolute blessed Sunday with you and your family and your brother and your sister and your mother, right? I hope you guys are all doing well, staying healthy, getting outside and touching grass. Make sure if you found value in this, I mean, I love each and every single one of you guys, but if you found value, slap the subscribe button, slap the like button. I'd appreciate it. And big shout out, tremendous shout out to Vega, everyone else who's donated. I love you all. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video, and peace. Woo!